In the unprecedented and horrific attack on Israel a week ago, the Qassam Brigade, the armed wing of Hamas, Gaza's Iran-financed ruling authority, joined forces with the Quds Brigade, which is also supported by Iran and is the military arm of the Gaza-based Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Both terrorist groups had been ideologically opposed. But intelligence shows the two groups had been working together for more than a year, perhaps for several years, in planning and preparing for the attack, and to also prepare for Israel's imminent land invasion of Gaza, which is expected at any time, and for which intelligence indicates Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad may have yet another surprise waiting for Israel's military once it invades Gaza. We know this because we now know that the reputed arrest of members of the Quds Brigade by Hamas's Qassam Brigade 14 months ago in August 2022 was bogus. The arrests were part of a long and concerted strategic plan of deception and trickery by Hamas's Qassam Brigade and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad's Quds Brigade and Iran, as I will outline, to deliberately mislead Israeli and Western intelligence services about the two terrorist groups' alliance and their mutual, long-in-the-planning plan to attack Israel. 14 months ago, it was widely reported that the Qassam Brigade had prevented the Quds Brigade from placing missiles aimed at Israel throughout Gaza and had arrested all the members of the Quds Brigade who were involved. But that was outright subterfuge, intelligence indicates. Indeed, the intelligence shows that the event, the arrest, was staged by the two terrorist groups to cause both Israeli and Western intelligence services to assume Hamas was cracking down on terrorism targeting Israel from inside Gaza by making it look like the Qassam Brigade had sent the Quds Brigade packing through the arrest. Remember, these two groups historically had been at odds with one another. What better way to perpetuate the assumption that they are indeed enemies? What was really happening, however, was the Iranian-financed Hamas Qassam Brigade was already working hand in glove with the Iranian-financed Quds Brigade to plan, train, and equip both for their looming joint attack on Israel. An attack that, according to Western intelligence officials I've talked to, and my own analysis as a former counterintelligence analyst for nearly 10 years, was blessed and green-lighted by Iran's rulers, and was directly supported, bankrolled, and received crucial training, innovative technologies, and direction from Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, which has long supported, aided, and financed the Palestinian Islamic Jihad's Quds Brigade, which has long supported, aided, and financed the Palestinian Islamic Jihad's Quds Brigade. Both the Quds Brigade and its parent organization, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, were designated by the U.S. as a foreign terrorist organization in 1997, while the group's founder and leader, Ziad al-Naqala, was declared a specially designated global terrorist in 2014. This last June, al-Naqala thanked Iran for its continuing support of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad during a meeting in Tehran between him and other leaders of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad and Hamas and Iran's president, Saeed Ibrahim Raisi. Meanwhile, Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh, who is at the top of Israel's most wanted list, held talks with Ali Akbar Ahmadian, secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council. Haniyeh, by the way, watched the attack on Israel unfold on the TV in his office in Qatar. 2 days ago, he met with Iran's foreign minister in Qatar, where they discussed Hamas's role in the barbaric attack and Iran's continued cooperation with Hamas to achieve the group's goals, which is the destruction of Israel. Following the attack, the Iranian president praised the brilliant and impressive victories of Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad in a phone call with al-Naqala. Raisi was quoted as telling al-Naqala that what happened in the occupied territories and in the battle with the usurping Zionist regime was a huge, unique event in the past 70 years, and you really made the Islamic community happy with this innovative and victorious operation. The Palestinian Islamic Jihad was founded in 1979 as an offshoot of Egypt's extremist Muslim Brotherhood, which, from its beginning, has been supported and financed by Iran, especially through Iran's proxy, Hezbollah, the notorious terrorist arm of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC. The Palestinian Islamic Jihad seeks to establish an Islamist Palestinian state that, just like Iran and Hezbollah, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Hamas, and its Al-Qassam Brigades, is committed to the destruction of Israel. The Palestinian Islamic Jihad was and is the second largest militant group in Gaza and the West Bank, and draws inspiration from the Iranian Revolution, the IRGC, and Hezbollah. For its part in all of this, the IRGC is charged with defending Iran's revolutionary regime and is separate from Iran's conventional military force. The IRGC is composed of ground, naval, and air forces and includes other components, such as an internal security militia and its external operations force, the IRGC Quds Force, which is one of the Iranian regime's primary organizations responsible for conducting covert lethal activities outside of Iran, which include asymmetric and other forms of terrorism. The IRGC Quds Force is the only terrorist organization from which the Quds Brigade and its ally, the Qassam Brigade, could have required the stockpiles of the kinds of weaponry and the requisite training to field and deploy that weaponry that the two terrorist groups used in their attack on Israel. Those weapons, which the Qassam and Quds Brigade are vividly shown in these videos training to use and then using, included both manufactured and sophisticated cobbled-together man-portable air defense systems, mortars and other fused explosive devices, armed manned and unmanned aircraft systems, and various anti-tank missiles and RPGs. Intelligence sources told me over the last week that the IRGC provided hands-on training, guidance, and operational planning, both inside and outside Gaza, an act that directly ties Iran, the IRGC, and Hezbollah to the attack on Israel. Other media organizations have reported having learned similar details. Hezbollah, which has long been heavily dug in, so to speak, in Lebanon's Bekaa Valley, north of Israel's northern border, has been lobbing rocket, mortar, and other fire to Israel ever since the invasion from Gaza to the southwest, and may very well likely be readying to launch its own assault on Israel once Israel enters Gaza. Hezbollah has stated as much in recent days, and intelligence indicates Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Palestinian Jihad may have planned for Hezbollah to open a northern front against Israel as part of a much larger and still secret plan to attack Israel from all sides, and to perhaps draw the U.S. and other allied nations directly into the conflict. Such a broader conflict is something Iran's ruling clerics, as part of their warped religious ideology, believe is necessary before the 12th Imam, their perceived religious savior, will arise from a well, yes, you heard that correctly, to smite all infidels and apostates in a grand global cleansing, as crazy as that sounds. I'll be interviewing here several former U.S. intelligence officials who are experts in all of that, so you want to hit both the subscribe button and the notification bell to be alerted when those interviews take place. As you watch these videos, which were posted on the individual social media accounts of individual members of the Al-Quds and Al-Qassam Brigades, as well as other of the two terrorist groups' various social media accounts, it is more than evident the planning and training for their attack on Israel had been in the making for quite some time, at least 1, maybe 2 years, according to intelligence sources. In addition, intelligence indicates select members of both terrorist groups received tactical training using weapons platforms and systems outside of Gaza, which they then took back to Gaza to share with their respective terrorist groups, both of which trained for and planned jointly for the attack. Intelligence further indicates there was a broad conspiracy of planning, preparation, and deception, including diplomatic and other forms of political trickery in advance of the attack, and for whatever else that these two terrorist groups may have planned to oppose Israel Defense Forces as they begin their land assault into Gaza. As these videos and the intelligence shows, the attack on Israel, as well as what clearly have been well-planned and orchestrated uprisings throughout Muslim lands this past week in support of Hamas and the Palestinian Jihad's attack on Israel, were carefully and organizationally conceived and executed with the aid and assistance of forces outside of Gaza, and which could be a signal for much more violence and bloodshed to come in the coming days. You can watch all of these videos intact and more on my Substack, link below. I'll be back with more intelligence analysis here. Until then, my friends, stay safe, well, and frosty out there.